Hi, welcome everybody. It's Mike Newton here at Lytham Golf Academy. Got the Ping G400 Crossover. I'm going to put it against the G400 Hybrid. Okay, so I'm going to see really out in this video what the differences is on ball flight. Now obviously the Hybrid is designed for this higher ball flight. It's a long iron replacement, higher ball flight, softer landing into the greens. The Crossover is a little bit, as the name suggests, a crossover between the Hybrid and an iron, so a bit more of an iron look, but it's beefed up, it's chunky, very forgiving, and still high launching in relation to an iron ball flight. But I may be expecting to see the Crossover flight a little bit lower than the Hybrid, and maybe just give you guys some ideas here, maybe what would sit into your set, whether you would want this sort of lower flighted Crossover, and maybe against the higher flighted on the Hybrid. We're going to actually see what the difference is on ball flight, launch, spin, and maybe distance as well. Now these are both number 4s, they're both 22 degrees, and they're both fitted with the Alta graphite shaft option. So very, very similar on the specs here, but obviously Crossover against the Hybrid. Right then, so we're going to start with the G400 Hybrid to start off with. Okay, so we've got GC2 HMT set up here. Let's get the first one underway. Okay, nice strike there. So straight away I'm seeing that, obviously that higher ball flight that you're really going to sort of expect to see from a Hybrid. You know, ultimately these were brought into design to obviously hit a higher ball flight than a longer iron. So easier to hit, easier to launch, higher ball flight, softer landing into the green. Okay. Okay, so just caught that one. Probably not as good a strike as the first one, little bit heely, so yeah, it's just dropped off a bit of distance there. I carried it 213, so a little bit of strike there, but it was still fairly high ball flight visually to look at. Yeah, again, nice sort of high ball flight. So, you know, I mean, I don't have a Hybrid in my bag. I prefer the sort of longer iron ball flight. But to me, I could see how obviously this appeals to a lot of golfers. And obviously I do a lot of fittings here at the Academy, and these are more beneficial generally for the, you know, the club golfer out there. Just purely because it's so much easier to hit. It feels so easy to launch that golf ball. Okay, so we're going to hit one more shot with this. And we'll move over to the Crossover. Yes, super strike. Again, it's up and out there. Definitely higher. Well, it looks very high. It looks like it's going to land quite soft. Okay, right. So let's flick over to the Crossover. Hit some shots with that. Maybe let's see if we can get this sort of lower ball flight with the nature of the club. Right, so we've now got the G400 Crossover in our hands here. So, as I said, the design of this is a crossover between an iron and a Hybrid. So you see that beefed up sole. I've done a review of this on my channel, so I'll put a link up, you can go and watch this. So it's that beefy sort of iron basically, so you're getting that forgiveness of a Hybrid, but maybe more of that iron flight here. So it's going to be really interesting. Sorry, there's a bit of a plane going above here. It's going to be really interesting to see if this flight is actually going to be lower. Okay, so let's get the first one hit. Very big appearance behind the golf ball there. Looks very easy to hit. Okay, just caught that a little bit heavy there. Just a bit pushy as well. Wasn't the best of strikes there, to be honest. But definitely seeing a slightly lower ball flight. That carried out at 260. Not the greatest of strikes there though. That's a super strike. That is pretty high, that, to be honest. Be interested to see how that stacks up against the Hybrid. I mean, that's flighted obviously way higher than a traditional 4-iron would go. See, that launched at 13.5, which might have been slightly similar to the Hybrid. It was a lovely straight golf shot though. Okay, let's get the third one hit here. it's another good strike. It's again fairly straight, is that? Yeah, 222 carry. Yeah, launch is slightly lower here. Be interesting to look at the actual peak height of these shots. And this is maybe where the differences might be a little bit of difference in spin, possibly slight differences in launch. Be interested to see where the ball actually flattens off at through its flight. I'm going to hit the last shot with a G400 crossover. Let's again finish on a straight one if we can. Yeah, again, it's a nice ball flight there. I mean, me personally, I do prefer more of that iron-like ball flight. I mean, as I say, my 4-iron, which I do carry, would obviously flight a lot lower than that again. So, for me personally, I do like to see that slightly lower ball flight. So that's where hybrid hasn't really sort of sat in my bag here. As I say, everybody's different. What people want out of the game is different. And generally speaking, for the club golf, the amateur golfer would like to have that ease of use of the hybrid, or even something like this crossover now, which is still very, very easy to use, get it launching, which just giving us maybe a different flight, which we're going to have a little look at. Okay, first of all, let's look at the dispersion here. So the white ring was the hybrid, the red was the crossover. So you see very, very similar on the length and even the dispersion there, probably just a tiny bit tighter with the crossover against the hybrid. Let's just move into some numbers here. Right, so we're looking at ball speed here. So maybe just a little bit slower with crossover. That first one wasn't the best strike, was it? So that's just dragged my averages down a little bit here. So probably if I took that out, it'll probably be very, very similar. Launch, and you can see there just a little bit lower than the hybrid, which is what we sort of expect. Spinning just a little bit lower than the hybrid, again, what we sort of expect. And here we go, peak height. So 38 yards against 35. So 3 yards lower with the crossover. And carry distance is absolutely identical on an average. Okay, so quite interesting numbers there in terms, I think it's backing up maybe what they are doing. Okay, so that crossover design to go a little bit lower than a hybrid, but higher than a traditional 4-iron. So imagine if I did get a 4-iron in there, these numbers would be slightly lower in the launch again, possibly, or very similar. Spin maybe a little bit lower, and peak height maybe just dropping off a little bit more again. Right, so there we go. G400 Hybrid against G400 Crossover. Now, many companies out there are bringing out these driving irons, these hybrid sort of utility irons as they call them. They are becoming very, very popular, and a lot of brands are launching them out there now. So coming more back into the offerings here for you guys out there when you may be coming to cover this long area of your golf game. And for us in here, again with fittings and our launch monitor, gapping is crucial. You know, generally we're seeing a lot of iron set sales are being 4 upwards or even 5 upwards. And then these hybrids or crossovers, there's options here now, are covering those long iron gaps. But both of these are much easier to use than traditional iron for many golfers. I'm not saying that everybody, you know, some guys out there strike it very, very essential, and they'll cope with a bit of speed and cope quite nicely with a traditional 4-iron. But these, generally speaking, for most golfers are a lot easier to hit. Okay, but obviously offering 2 different flights here, as we've just seen on the monitor. So again, this is to fit in with you because your angle of attack might be different, your speed will be different to mine. You know, I did have a preference to the crossover because I do prefer an iron in my longer game. So probably there you see the accuracy with the crossover was a little bit better than the hybrid. Okay, just because it suits my eye a little bit more. But anyway, just goes to show you've got to go out there, you test these yourself, get a good fitter on a good launch monitor, see some height, see how that sits in with your set in terms of a gap in, and hopefully that's going to you know, cover all options you've got in terms of hitting distance numbers. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching. I do appreciate watching my videos. Please hit that subscribe button down there, share this around, do comment down below, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.